everybody. This is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a share of the layouts that I've made this week, and I'm going to start right in. The first one is called Summer Escape. Last weekend I participated in an event called the Scrap Smarter Experience, and it was a virtual event run by Scrap Happy. There were many fantastic scrapbookers that took part in it, and Vicky Booten was one of them, and she did a demonstration on using daubers and inks in your background. And I pulled out my Distress Oxide ink pads. I use my sprays all the time, but I think I bought some of the pads. I didn't buy all of them, but I bought some of the ink pads and didn't really use them. I might have played around with them, but I never really used them on a layout before that I can remember. And watching Vicky Booten and some of the other instructors, I ended up pulling out a stencil and using my dauber and just going in rainbow order and making this design down the page. I sprinkled it with some water and also sprinkled on some enamel dots. I use an older Simple Stories collection for the border paper and the papers that I mounted my photos with. And I mainly just used that collection. I used the stickers from it, and I also added a couple of little puffy stickers that I had in my stash. And that was about it. That was my first layout for this week. This next layout was also made using inspiration from that Scrap Smarter experience, and the instructor for this one was Christina Sorge, and she was showing us how you could utilize some go-to designs, and this was made with inspiration from one of them. And I had this older pad and I really liked the colors in it, and I just did a lot of fussy cutting. Most of what's in the background was fussy cut from the papers. It was one of those really pretty older die cut with a view pads, and the only things I think I added in were some of these dragonflies from a K & Company set of ephemera that I had around. I'm a subscriber to My Creative Scrapbook, which is a scrapbook kit, and each month I get some papers and embellishments. You get a lot in the kit, and I was so excited that I was really trying hard to use up my whole June kit, and this is the last layout that I made. I had just these and a couple of strips. This isn't even a whole piece of paper. This was just a couple of thin strips that I cut out, and I was able to make one more page using these, which were, you could have used them as a whole page, but I cut them apart, and then I had some solid papers, and like I said, this last bit of pattern paper, and then there were a lot of flowers that were in the kit. There's always 3 packs of beautiful flowers in the kit every month, so I used those. I added a couple of little tiny off-white flowers in this title, and pretty much everything else is from the kit. This coral color paper I did have in my stash, and so that was a good addition to the kit. It helped me extend it a little bit. And this one's called Smile, and I'm trying to finish up my older daughter's graduation album. We're getting there, but I'm not quite there yet. Here's another page from my daughter's graduation album. I was going to make this the cover page. You know, as soon as you open the album, it's right there. And I was thinking for a long time that I wanted to make rosettes, and my problem with rosettes is that I always made them in a way that they popped apart because I wasn't overlapping enough of the 2 ends of the paper in order for them to stay together. So Alice Bowl, who is the leader of Scrap Happy, she did a demonstration, and I was so happy to see that because I was finally able to use my idea of using rosettes on a page. So it's going to be a bit of a bulky page, but I'm okay with that. It's the first page, and I do tend to have bulky pages. It doesn't bother me, but it does make the scrapbooks rather thick. And the last page that I have to share with you is this one. I use the same technique on the background that I used on the first layout, where I took my Distress Oxides, I used all the same colors, and I used my daubers and a stencil. And this would have been one of the quickest layouts I've ever made, but I decided to stitch around each of the rays, and that takes a couple of hours to stitch. But the stitching, I feel like I like the way it adds texture. Stitching always adds something super nice to pages, in my opinion. So I do stitch every now and then. Something on a page will kind of call out to me to be stitched. So I do stitch now and then, but it does add a lot of time to the layout. But that's okay. I just did some stitching while I was watching TV, and I used some, I think they were Heidi Swap. They were those resist embellishments. You know, they're white, and then when you spray color on them, part of them stays white and part of them turns the color that you sprayed them. So just to make sure that I had all the colors that I wanted, I used those. I found those in my big box of ephemera. And so for the most part, I use those, the majority of things. This Summer Paradise was a sticker from that same collection that I used to make this layout. And the papers are from that collection as well. So is the heart, but all these others are those Heidi Swap resist ephemera. And you could see I added a couple of enamel dots, and I found this little phrase sticker that said, "Let's go to the beach." So I cut off beach and made beach larger. And these are using stickers that were in that same collection. So that was what I got completed this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that I will see you again soon on my channel. I hope if you like this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and think about subscribing to my channel if you're not a current subscriber. Thank you to my current subscribers. And I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.